Assalamu alaikum, Brother Zakir. My name is Sania. I'm a revert Muslim. The question is, in your lecture, you mentioned the scientific facts from the Qur'an which have been established. Can you mention a few Quranic verses which science has not confirmed?
This was the question that I've mentioned in my talk, the scientific facts which science has already established, which mentioned in the Holy Quran. Can I mention some few points in the Quran which science has not established? For example, the Quran says in Surah Shura, chapter 42, verse number 29, it says, "It is Allah who has created the heavens and the earth and put creatures, living creatures throughout them." Quran says there is life besides this earth. Allah has put living creatures throughout the heavens and the earth. There is no scientific evidence, established scientific evidence, that there is life besides this earth. Recently, they have been sending rockets and spaceships to different planets, different satellites, etc. And now, just a couple of months earlier, we read in the newspapers that they got certain material from Mars, which gives proof that life can be there in Mars. And in, I think, day for yesterday's paper, I read in Times of India, that they have found water in the moon. Maybe a comet crashed, and there's a big crater, and the water has been frozen to ice. So in future, it will be easier to do investigations. We do not have to take water from planet Earth to moon. Water is already present there. We can use that water, and it will save us a lot of trouble. Science is saying there are high possibilities of life being there besides Earth. But since Quran says, I believe in it. Maybe after 1 or 2 years, they may discover there's life besides this earth, or maybe after 50 years. Today, scientists, they have given various views. How will our earth end? Some scientists have given a description that the mountains will fall down. Some scientists say the mountains and rocks will become smooth when the earth is destroyed. Some people say the ocean will swell up. Some people say the universe will go in a black hole. Several. Quran too gives a description about the day of judgment. How will our creation end? Many of them match with the theories of science. Theories, not established facts. For example, the Quran says in Surah Ahqaf, chapter 46, verse number 3, "It is Allah who has created the heavens and the earth for a limited period of time," giving you an indication that this creation will be destroyed, and gives various signs in the Quran. For example, if you read Surah Qiyamah, chapter 75, verse number 8 and 9, it says that the moon will be buried in darkness. The sun and the moon will join together before our world ends. If you read Surah Takwir, chapter 81, verse number 1, 2, 3, and verse number 6, it says that the sun will be folded up. The stars will fall down. The ocean will swell up. The mountain will fall down in utter ruin. Quran says in Surah Infitar, chapter 82, verse number 1, 2, and 3, it says the sky will be cleft asunder. The star will be scattered. The mountain will fall down. Various signs how will the earth end is given. These are scientific points mentioned in the Quran which science hasn't established yet. For example, the Holy Quran also says in Surah Anbiya, chapter 21, verse number 104, that as we created this creation, we will roll up the heavens like a scroll is rolled up. And as we created the early creation, we shall create a new creation. So Quran says there is one more new creation that's going to be created after the world is destroyed. Science doesn't know about that. Quran says the first man on the earth was Adam alayhi salam. Science hasn't discovered that yet. Quran speaks about soul. Science hasn't established that human beings have got soul. The Holy Quran also speaks about jinns, about spirits, about angels. Science hasn't been able to discover that. Quran speaks about life after death. Science hasn't discovered that. Quran speaks about heaven and hell. Science hasn't discovered about that. But you may ask me the question, Brother Zakir, you have given such a good lecture speaking about scientific facts, and you believe in jinns, you believe in angels, you believe in soul, you believe in life after death. Aren't you illogical? I will say no. I'm not illogical. I have got a logic why I believe. I don't blindly believe in life after death, in the soul, in heaven and hell, in jinns and spirits. I have a logical belief. I base my logical belief saying that suppose there are scientific facts mentioned in the Holy Qur'an, out of which, say approximately, 80% have been proved to be 100% correct. 80% of the scientific facts mentioned in the Qur'an have been proved by science till today to be 100% correct. The remaining 20% is ambiguous, unknown. Not even 0.001% have been proved false. Even if one verse is proved false, the Quran is not the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So these 20% I say goes in the ambiguous slot, unknown. So my logic says when 80% is 100% correct, the remaining 20% is ambiguous, out of which not even 0.001% has been proved wrong. All are unknown. My logic says when 80% is correct, even those 20% will be inshallah correct. It's not a blind belief, it's a logical belief.
The next question, please.
My name is Mohammad Sadat. I am a chemical engineer in Hindustan Petroleum. In Quran it is mentioned that it is Allah who decides the characteristics and the personality of a person inside his or her mother's womb. In the field of genetics, this field has advanced so much that nowadays parents can tailor-make their children. If they want to have a very bright student, they can have it by just having that genetic code changed. Now, isn't this contradictory with Quran?
The brother posed the question that today genetics field has advanced and it's possible that we can change the genetics of the child that is going to be born. Quran says that Allah is one who shapes, who forms, and I do agree with that. Quran says in several places. So does it not mean it's contradicting the Quran? No, brother, it is not. When it gives the statement, Quran says, without the power of Allah, it is not possible. Without the power of Allah, it is not possible at all. For example, Quran says in Surah Rahman, chapter 55, verse number 33, that with power and skill, you will be able to penetrate the heavens and the earth. Not without the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, you will penetrate the heavens and the earth, but only with permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So today, because people are going in the heaven, that does not mean the Quran is wrong. Quran says you can do, but with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's predicting that people will go in outer space, in moon, etc. But if Allah doesn't want, it cannot happen. And you know the incidents of Challenger. The Challenger tried to take off, what happened? He tried to challenge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happened? Nothing. Even today, we say family planning. Do you know, there's no family planning which is perfect. Even if you do tubectomy or vasectomy, if Allah wants, He can yet bring easy conception to that lady, even if she practices permanent method, like tubectomy, or the husband does vasectomy. Still there are chances, but negligible chances, that the baby can be born. If Allah wishes, no one can stop. You do any family planning method, in genetics also. If they are able to change, it's with Allah's permission. If Allah doesn't want, you cannot change at all. So few people are successful, all aren't successful. Those who are successful are with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those who are not, Allah has not given them permission. Same way, family planning, those who are successful, Allah gives permission. Those who are not successful, Allah doesn't give permission. Hope that answers the question.
Assalamu alaikum, Zakir bhai. I was a Hindu first and I converted into Islam recently. What I would like to ask you a question is this, that when a woman is carrying a baby in a womb, Islam forbids abortion. But if a woman is facing some kind of a medical problem, if she's anemic, or if she has just delivered a baby recently, in recent months to come, and there's always a threat to her life, non-Muslims doctors say to abort it, and when the Muslim doctors say it is haram. And someone who's a little bit modern has said that if the child is for 40 days in the womb, before 40 days you can abort it, after 40 days it is not possible. You cannot do it under Islamic law. Is that right or is that wrong?
The brother asked a question that is speaking that today scientifically, the doctors who want to abort, etc., why does Quran does not give permission to abort if it's danger to the life of the mother? Quran speaks about abortion in Surah Anam, chapter 6, verse number 151. as well as in Surah Isra, chapter 17, verse number 31. It says, kill not your children for want of sustenance. For it is Allah that will provide sustenance to you and your children. For killing of infants is a major sin. So abortion is haram under normal circumstances. For example, pork is haram. Alcohol is haram. Having dead meat is haram. But same time the Qur'an says in 4 different places. In Surah Baqarah chapter 2 verse number 173, in Surah Ma'idah chapter number 5 verse number 3, in Surah An'am chapter 6 verse number 145, and Surah Nahl chapter 16 verse number 115, it says that if unwillingly, if you disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is Rahman Rahim. If under compulsion, if you disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah is Rahman Rahim. If you are dying of hunger, pork is the only dish that you can have. Pork becomes halal for you. It's perfectly halal, but don't have so much and keep on having after you don't require it. If you are in a jungle, if pork is the only thing that you can find to eat, or in a desert, pork becomes allowed for you only for that time. When you come back to the city, it becomes haram. The same way abortion, just because you don't want a child, is haram in Islam. It's a major sin. But if it's a danger to the life of the mother, it's totally allowed. Because in Islam, the life of the mother is more precious than the life of the child, which has not come in being on its own. I do know there are certain people who say that after 40 days, it's not allowed, before 40, it's allowed. Quran is very clear-cut on that. If it's a danger to your life, unwillingly, if you disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's totally allowed. So if the doctors say that you have certain heart problem and the labor pains will cause a strain on your heart, the mother will die, you have to abort, you have to go ahead with it. Because in Islam, you cannot sacrifice a greater loss to save a small loss. The life of the mother who's already alive and adult is more important than the child who cannot live on its own. So in these cases, if it's a danger to the life of the mother, it's totally allowed in Islam. If it's not a danger, it's haram. Hope that answers the question.
The next question from the ladies' side.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Zakir. My question is, when Quran speaks so much about science, then how come the Muslims are so backward in the field of science?
The sister posed the question that when Quran speaks so much about science, how come the Muslims are backward? Sister, I would mainly blame the media. The media today is in the hands of the Westerners, the Europeans. It's in their hand. They have the satellite, they have the television, they have the CNN, they have the BBC. It's in their hand. The media is in their hand. And whatever you read in your school books and books which we read in college, you'll read there that from 8th to the 12th century, it was the dark ages. Dark for whom? It was dark for the Europeans, not for the world. The Arabs and the Muslims were very much advanced from the 8th to the 12th century. They were very much advanced. The Europeans were backward. Because they were backward, they said it was dark ages for the world. It was not dark for the world, it was dark for the Europeans. With the limited instruments and technology what we had from 8th to 12th century, what discoveries the Muslim scientists have made, it's unbelievable. Today, because science is advanced, we're making so many discoveries. There, with the amount of limited facility we had, the amount of discoveries Muslim scientists made, it's unbelievable. For example, I quoted in my talk that Ibn Nafis, he discovered the blood circulation. But in the medical books and the books we read in school, who discovered blood circulation? William Harvey. Everyone knows William Harvey. No one knows about Ibn Nafis. Ibn Nafis spoke about blood circulation 400 years before. The Europeans, they later on picked up the books of the Muslims and rehashed it and said, we discovered it. See, if you see the discovery that Muslims have made, for example, if you know Al-Idrisi, in 1154, he drew the first map of Mediterranean, the geography of the world, first. Mathematics. Muslims were far advanced in mathematics. We introduced the decimal points. Do you know what we call the digits 1, 2, 3? It's called as Arabic numerals. The other ones are called as Roman numerals. Why it's called Arabic numerals? Because the Arabs were the one who discovered it. The decimal point are the Arabic numerals. The person who first proved the Pythagoras theorem, he was Al-Tusi. We know about the Pythagoras theorem, but we don't know about Al-Tusi. He said that the square of the hypotenuse was equal to the sum of the opposite two sides of the triangle. Al-Biruni, he was an authority in trigonometry. All these people, they were experts. If you know of Al-Kindi, Al-Kindi, he was a philosopher, a mathematician, an astronomer. When great scientists like Galileo, Newton, etc., they said that all physical laws were absolute, he said that all physical laws are relative. And today we know the theory of relativity is proved by Albert Einstein. No one knows about Al-Kindi. He was the person who basically gave the idea of theory of relativity. Later on, he did more research and talked about theory of relativity. Who knows about the three brothers, Muhammad, Shakir, and Hassan? Who know about them? They told the surface area of the earth from an angle at the Red Sea when people thought the world was flat. Chemistry. The Muslims are far advanced in chemistry. Ibn Hayyan, Jabir ibn Hayyan, they have Latinized the word Geber. So when we read in our textbook Geber, we think it's an European. It's a Muslim. Jabir ibn Hayyan. We know Geber, we don't know who's Jabir. He is the person who distilled alcohol. Alcohol comes from the Arabic word al-ghul, meaning ghost, evil spirit. Alkali is the Arabic word. He wrote 2,000 different pages only on chemistry. Muhammad Zakaria Razi, he was famous in medicine. He was authority on the field of smallpox and measles. He was the first person who used mercury ointment. He wrote books on children's disease. There are several Muslim scientists. Ali ibn Abbas, he wrote 20 volumes on medicine. Ali ibn Sina, known as Avicenna. Avicenna, it doesn't sound Muslim. Ali ibn Sina are Muslim. Avicenna not Muslim. Who got the title of Aristotle of the East. He wrote the book Qanun, which was referred as a textbook of medicine till as late as 17th century. Who knows Ibn Zuhur? He was the person after Alexander who did research on parasitology. He described the H. mite, the pericarditis, he described the otitis media, he did tracheostomy. Several medical doctors, Al-Zaharwi. Al-Zaharwi was a famous dentist as well as surgeon as well as obstetrician. He invented several instruments of surgery, gynecology, as well as dentistry. We all of us know the other thing, but the media is in the hands of the Westerners. The Muslims are far advanced. But I do agree with you. Today, the Muslims are getting backward in science. You know why? The Europeans are being advanced. You know why? The Muslims are becoming backward because we are going away from the Holy Qur'an. We are going away from the religion. And do you know why the Europeans are getting advanced? They too are going away from the religion. The Europeans are also getting advanced because they are going away from the religion. The Muslims, we are going backward because they are going away from religion. I would request the Muslim brothers and sisters out here, as well as non-Muslims, they are people reading the Quran. Why don't we read the Quran with understanding? Why don't we ponder over the verses? We have only kept the Quran kissing and giving on top, that's all. The Quran was not meant only to be kissed and kept on top. It should be implemented in your daily life. If you implement the Quran in your daily life, read it with understanding, inshallah, again, we will be on top of the world. Hope that answers the question.
Now I would request our volunteers to give opportunity to any non-Muslim brothers and guests we have here at our mics to give them a preference and opportunity, and then our other brothers.
I am K. Mahesh, lecturer from Sabu Siddiq Polytechnic in the computer department. I would like to ask regarding the Muslim marriage system, why Islam allows more than one woman to be married with a man?
The brother posed the question that why does Islam allow a man to marry more than one wife? Quran is the only religious book on the face of the earth which says marry only one. There's no other religious book on the face of the earth. Whether you read the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, no religious book says marry only one except the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran says in Surah Nisa, chapter 4, verse number 3, it says, marry woman of your choice in 2s, 3s, or 4s. But if you can't do justice, marry only one. If you can't do justice, marry only one. Otherwise, if you can do justice, Quran has put an upper limit, 2, 3, or 4. Maximum 4, not more than that. Previous religions, they gave permission for a man to marry as many wives as you want. Quran put an upper restriction of maximum 4. You know why? Because if you think logically, if you analyze, but it says at the same time, in Surah Nisa chapter 4, verse 129, it is difficult to do justice between your wives. It's difficult. Therefore, do not turn away from them altogether. Marrying more than one wife, you don't get more sawab. You don't get more blessings. There is no hadith saying that if you marry more than one wife, you get more sawab. There's a hadith which says that if you marry, you complete half your deen. So somebody asked me a question at the time, does it mean if I marry twice, I complete my full deen? No, marriage takes you away from promiscuity, from fornication, therefore it is fard. But whether you marry 1 or 2, yet you're only completing half your deen. The reason why Islam gives permission for polygyny, that's the right word, is because if you analyze, men and women are born in equal proportion. But in the pediatric age itself, since the female is the stronger sex medically, if you ask any pediatrician, he'll tell you, the female can fight the germs and disease much better than the male. So more female children live than the male children. There are more deaths in the male children than female children. When you grow up, there are accidents, death due to cigarette smoking, death due to war. More male die than female. War in Afghanistan. Do you know more than 1 million people died? Mainly they were gents. Whatever it is, whatever you said. More men die than female. If you analyze the statistics, India is one of the few countries in which there is more male than female. You know why? Because of female infanticide. Every day, 3,000 fetuses are being aborted when they identified that they are females. More than 1 million aborted every year in India on being identified they are female. That's the reason. Otherwise, if you see the statistics of America, there are more than 7.8 million females than males in America alone. In New York alone, there is 1 million female more than male. And out of the population of New York, 1/3 are gay, sodomite, Luth. There are more than 25 million gays in America. That means there are more than 30 million females who can't find husband in America alone. In UK alone, there are 4 million females more than male. In Germany alone, 5 million females more than male. In Russia alone, 7 million females more than male. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone knows there are how many million females more than males in this world. I am asking you a question that suppose my sister or your sister happens to live in America, and suppose everyone agrees with your philosophy that every man should marry one wife, and every man in America marries a woman, still there will be 7.8 million females, and plus, since the gays also don't get married, there will be more than 25 to 30 million females who can't find husbands. If my sister happens to be one of those unfortunate ladies who has not been married and the market is saturated, the only option remaining for my sister is to marry a man who already has a wife or become public property.
The next question from a brother on the left.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Adiyar Anwar. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything. Some verses we prepared like this. Why plural is coming?
The brother posed the question that why has the word we used in the Quran for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Is it more than one? Brother, we in Arabic, there are two types. One is we for plural, one is royal plural. Royal plural. Like for example, if you know the Rajiv Gandhi, how he used to speak, he used to say, hum dekhna chahte hai, hum. That hum was not plural, it was singular. It's a royal plural, it's called. The same way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, some places uses I, some places uses we. The we in Arabic does not indicate plurality. It means royal plural. Actually it is singular. So we, when it says we have created you, it means singular Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran clearly states in Surah Ikhlas, chapter 112, verse number 1, Qul huwallahu ahad. Say he is Allah one and only. Allah is only one, not more than one. Hope that answers the question.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I would like to know whether organ transplant and organ donation are permitted in Islam.
The sister posed a question that is organ transplantation or donation allowed in Islam or not? There's no verse in the Holy Qur'an directly saying that whether you should give or you should not give. It's silent on that issue. There were various conferences taking place by various ulama throughout the world, including in Malaysia, in Jeddah, in Riyadh, even here, on this issue where organ transplantation is allowed or not. By the consensus of the ulamas of the world, today they say that organ transplantation is allowed if you satisfy the three conditions. First is the organ that are going to give to the person. The person, if he receives the organ, his life will be saved. Only if his life is in danger, and then if he wants the organ, then it's allowed. Point number two, the person donating the organ, he should not do it for economical reasons, not for money. Not for getting 1 lakh rupees or 2 lakh rupees. Third is after the person donates the organ, it should not cause loss of his life. Today science tells that there are certain organs in the body, for example the kidney. One kidney is sufficient for a human being to survive and lead a normal life. The second is an additional. Suppose my mother, if she has both the kidney failure, and if I donate one kidney, surely Allah will not hold me responsible. So but natural, if it doesn't cause a loss to my life, I can't say I want to donate my heart. If my heart is taken out, I'll die. So I can't donate my heart. I can only donate those organs which will not cause loss to my life. And I should not do it for economical reasons, point number two. And third, it should save the life. This is the consensus of ulamas of the conference that took place in Malaysia, in Riyadh, in Jeddah, in India. In India, the ulamas were reluctant, but now if you ask the Fiqh Academy of India, even they say it should not be done. But if it is used to saving the life as a last resort, you can give your organ as a donation. Hope that answers the question.
The brother on my right.
Good evening, everybody. I'm a student of Sabu Siddiq. My name is Harsh Waghela. I want to ask a question that after the death of human being, dead body should be burned out or should be buried?
The brother posed the question that after a human being dies, should his body be burned or should it be buried? Let's analyze scientifically which is more appropriate. Brother, as I told in my talk, or in the question and answer time, I believe, that the elements, the constituent of human beings, is present in lesser or greater quantity in the soil, in the earth. So we are created from earth, we should go back to earth, it's logical. More easier for us to go back into the earth, point number one. Point number two is that if we burn a body, there is pollution. There's environmental hazard. Environmental hazard is there. When you bury a body, there's no environmental hazard. In fact, the place where you bury, point number three, the ground and the surrounding ground becomes more fertile. Point number four, it is very cheap to bury. You don't require any money. Earth is freely available. There are graveyards. But to cremate, to burn, you require tons and tons of wood. Therefore, every year, if it's statistics, our government goes in loss of millions of rupees because they're burning wood. Loss to environment, environmental problem, hazard, and plus waste of money. If you calculate the amount of people that are dying, amount of people who are burning, it's a loss of money, hazard to the environment. It's much more logical and scientific to bury the body than to burn. Hope that answers the question.
I would, after the next two questions are over, I will allow some questions on slip. I'm told that some ladies would have written questions on slips. They would not like to ask on mic, or there are some other people also. So we'll allow some questions. The questions which have come on slip can be passed on to me after the question. And unless if there is some brother who's a non-Muslim, I have told them they have not had enough opportunity, so that we will make an exception to that. They can ask on the mic. Otherwise, I read questions from the slip after the next two questions are over.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Khalid and I am a student. It's mentioned in Quran that sun and other planets revolve and rotate in a fixed orbit. And at the other place, relating to the doomsday, it's mentioned that earth will collide with sun in somewhat a spiral form. When revolution and rotation can, then the phenomenon of collision takes place, how is it possible?
The brother posed the question that it says that the sun and the earth rotate, and some places it says sun and the earth will collide. Some places it says that. But as I told you, there are certain statements in the Qur'an talking about the signs of the day of judgment. And I myself quoted in Surah Qiyamah, chapter 75, verse number 8 and 9, that the sun and the moon will join together. When? On the day of judgment, not today. It's giving you signs of day of judgment. It's not telling you that today it will happen. The name of the surah is Surah Qiyamah, day of resurrection, and gives various signs that the moon will be buried in darkness, the stars will fall down, the ocean will swell up, etc. These are signs of the day of judgment. Has it happened? No. But before the world ends, it will surely happen. Hope that answers the question. Nowhere does the Quran say a normal circumstance will happen.
One question I'll ask now on the slip, then on the mic, one on the slip, then on the mic. The question on the slip is, it is mentioned in one verse of the Quran that Allah is the Lord of the two east and two west. How can you explain this verse of the Quran scientifically?
The question posed was that the Holy Quran mentions that Allah is the Lord of two east and two west. How can you explain scientifically? What the person is referring to is a verse in the Holy Quran from Surah Rahman, chapter number 55, verse number 17, which says, Rabbul Mashriqani wal Rabbul Maghribani, that Allah is the Lord of two east and two west. In Arabic, we have two types of plural. One is dual plural and one is plural more than two. Here, Rabbul Mashriqani is dual plural, that Allah is the Lord of two east and Lord of two west. Let's see what science has to say about that. And we know that the sun rises from the east and it sets in the west. But science tells us today that the sun rises from the due east only on 2 days, exact east. In the other times, if you notice, the point of rising of the sun keeps on varying. It rises exactly due east only on 2 days, the 2 days of equinox. All the other days, it either rises south or north of east. Similarly, it rises from one extreme of the east in the summer solstice and rises from the other extreme of the east in winter solstice. Similarly, the sun sets in due west only on 2 days of equinox. All the other days, it either sets south or north of due west. It sets in one extreme of west in the summer solstice and sets in the other extreme of west in the winter solstice. So when the Quran says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord of two east and two west, it is referring to the two extreme points of east and two extreme points of west. But there's another verse in the Holy Quran, in Surah Marriage, chapter number 70, verse number 40, which says that Allah is the Lord of east and west. It is not dual plural, it is plural more than two. Allah is the Lord of east and the Lord of west. Therefore, Allah is the Lord of all the various points in east. So in short, Allah is the Lord of two extreme points of east, two extreme points of west, and all the points in between in the west, and all the points in between in the east.
Next question from the ladies' side, please.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Zakir. My name is Malika Muhammad Islam. My question is that, what does the Quran mean when it says that Allah sent down iron from the heaven?
The sisters asked the question, what does the Quran mean when it says that Allah has sent down iron from the heaven? The verse the sister is referring to the Holy Quran is in Surah Hadith, chapter 57, which means iron, verse number 25, which says that Allah has sent down iron, in which there is material for war and various benefits for the human beings. The Arabic word used for send down is anzala. It means to send down. Now, anzala can be looked at in two different ways. One way is Allah has sent down, Allah has revealed. So Allah has revealed that in iron there is a lot of use and material for mighty war, as well as benefits for humankind. Allah has revealed this, that in iron there's material for war and various benefits. And we know today that iron is one of the most important metals we know of. From it we get steel. And steel and iron is used for making instruments of war, like weapons, swords, spears, guns, etc. It's even used for making instruments of peace, like bricklayer, instruments of an engineer, instruments of an architect, knife, fork, spoon, etc. So, if you read the first meaning, it says that Allah has revealed that in iron there is various benefits and material for mighty war. The other way, if you take literally, that iron has been sent down to heaven. This verse was shown to Professor Armstrong. That what do you have to comment on Surah Hadith, chapter 57, verse number 25, he says that iron has been sent down for heaven. So he tells us that it's recently that the scientists have come to know about the formation process of various elements. And they say that the energy required to make one atom of iron, it's so enormous that the energy of the whole solar system is not sufficient. And a calculation was made that energy 4 times that of the solar system is made to produce one atom of iron. Means the energy of the moon, the stars, the sun, all these energies, if you take of the planets, etc., of only the planets of the solar system and the sun and the moon, it will not be sufficient to produce one atom of iron. Scientists today tell us that iron is an extraterrestrial metal, which is confirming the Quranic ayat, if you take it literally, that iron has been sent down from the heaven.
The next question from the slip. There was a philosopher in 6th century BC who said that the earth rotates about its own axis and the planets move around the sun. The Quran also gives the indication of a similar scientific fact. Some people allege that the Prophet copied these points from the philosopher. Please comment.
The question posed was that there was a philosopher in 6th century BC who said the planets and the earth rotate around the sun. So maybe the Prophet copied from the philosopher, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I do agree that in the 6th century BC, the Pythagoreans, these people, they defended the theory that the earth and the planets, they rotate and they revolved around the sun. But to say that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, copied from them is illogical, because these people fail to realize that these same Pythagoreans, they also defended the theory that the sun was the center of the universe. The sun was fixed. It did not rotate, neither did it revolve. So to say that Prophet Muhammad copied those 2 points, earth and planets rotate and they revolve, and didn't copy the point which says that the sun was center of universe, the sun was fixed, it did not rotate, it did not revolve, is illogical. I do know that there are various philosophers whose works of antiquity gives us ideas, and they say several things. But if you analyze the works of philosophers of antiquity, their works is mixed with invalid and valid ideas. People normally quote the valid ideas, they forget that they even left behind invalid ideas. They were great thinkers. The difference between these philosophers who predicted and the Quran is, these philosophers only thought and predicted, and they made even false statements. The Quran, alhamdulillah, more than 1,000 verses speak about science, and not a single is wrong. The difference is Quran gives a challenge. To say that Prophet Muhammad copied from these people and didn't copy the negative point, maybe 1 or 2 it's possible, it was fluke. But to say that all the thousands of verses the Quran speaks about science were copied is illogical, because Quran gives a challenge. أَفَلَّا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ وَلَوْ كَانَ مِنْ عِنْدِ غَيْرِ اللَّهِ لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. In Surah Nisa, chapter 4, verse number 82, do you not consider the Quran with care? Had it been from anyone besides Allah, there would have been many contradictions.
The next question from my brother on the right.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Faisal. How scientifically or logically can you explain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being omniscient, that is knowing the past, present, future and everything, sent scriptures before the Quran? Why didn't he send the Quran itself?
Brother has a question that why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not send Quran earlier? Why did he send the other revelations first and then the Quran? It's like you asking me that why didn't you first teach me medicine? Why I had to go to standard 1, standard 2, standard 3 and then do my medicine? You have to go in stage wise. All the previous revelations that came before the Quran, as I mentioned earlier, were sent only for those people and for a particular time period. The Holy Quran is sent for the whole of humankind, and its message is meant till eternity. Therefore, the previous revelations, they have not been preserved. Allah thought it right. He has divine knowledge. He knows when to send the final revelation. Not that he could not send earlier. Like the teacher knows how much to teach to a student. Should not go beyond the level. So Allah thought it fit that the humankind maybe had reached that level where I can reveal the final revelation. Allah knew that maybe previously the time was not right. Therefore, all the previous revelations, none of them have been preserved except the Holy Quran. Because Quran is the last and final revelation, and it will prove itself to be the word of God. It proved itself 1400 years ago, will prove today, and will be able to prove till eternity, inshallah.
The next question from the slip. The Quran says that Allah has made the earth for you as a carpet. This gives an indication that earth is flat, which is contradictory with modern science.
The question posed was, and people are astonished out here, that the Quran says the earth was spread out like a carpet, so doesn't mean it was flat. What the person is referring to is an ayat in the Holy Quran, in Surah Nuh, chapter number 71, verse number 19 and 20, which does say that we have spread out the earth like a carpet. But it gives the answer in the next verse, in verse number 20, so that you may walk and travel in the spacious path. As I mentioned in my talk, the geology that tell us today, the earth which we live on the surface is hardly 1 to 10 miles and less than 1% of the total radius of the earth, which is 3,750 miles. The top layer is a solid shell. The deeper layers are hot and fluid and inhospitable for existence of life. Nowhere does the Quran say that the earth is flat. It gives a similitude that we have spread out the earth like a carpet. People normally have a misconception that a carpet can only be spread on a flat surface. It's wrong. A carpet can also be spread on a spherical surface. For example, imagine that there is a big model of the earth, the globe, say about 10 feet in radius, very big. Very well, you can spread a carpet around it. It's possible. Because when we lay out a carpet, we normally spread out a carpet on the surface which is not comfortable to walk on. Carpet is normally spread out on a surface which is not comfortable to walk on. So science today tells us that if the outer crust was not spread out like a carpet around the spherical earth, we would not be able to live. Because the deeper layers are hot and fluid. So when Quran says we have spread out the earth, it is referring to the earth's crust has been spread out like a carpet. And the reason is given so that you may walk in the spacious path of the Lord. Quran says in other places also that we have made the earth as spacious. Quran says this in Naba, chapter 78, verse number 6, we have made the earth as an expanse. It is referring that the earth we have made as wide. You know why? The answer is given in Surah Ankabut, chapter 29, verse 56, which says, we have made the earth as a wide expanse for you so that you will worship me and me alone. So tomorrow you cannot say that the situation where I lived in, maybe Bombay, it was a difficult circumstances. Therefore, I was prevented to do good deeds and I did evil deeds. Allah says the earth is a wide expanse for you. It is spacious. You cannot give the excuse for doing evil deeds. because of your circumstances. Therefore, worship Allah and Allah alone. There is no place in the Holy Quran which says the world is flat. In fact, I told in my speech, the Quran says in Surah Luqman, chapter 31, verse 29, and Surah Al-Zumur, chapter 39, verse number 5, that the world is spherical. And specifically, in Surah Naziyah, chapter 79, verse number 30, wal arda ba'da zalika dahaha. We have made the earth thereafter egg-shaped, like an ostrich egg, which is exactly geospherical. Hope that answers the question.
Next brother on my left.
Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Abdul Subhan. I am an accountant. It is mentioned in Quran that Allah Tabarak Ta'ala says, no one can say what is in the stomach of mother, male or female. But on the other hand, science says, or is proving male or female. So kindly give light on this question.
The brother posed the question that the Quran says that no one besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can mention what is the sex of the child in the mother's womb. And today science is advanced. We can come to know by ultrasonography, etc., the sex of the child. What the brother is referring to a verse in the Holy Quran from Surah Luqman, chapter 31, verse number 34, which says, only Allah has the knowledge of the hour, of when it is going to rain, what is in the womb of the mother, where will a person die, and what will he earn. The Quran says only Allah knows what is in the womb of the mother. It does not say what is the sex of the child in the mother's womb. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.